Hey guys, so I was doing research for this episode and I saw that most divorces happen between year 5 and year 8. But then, as I was doing that research and as I was reading, I saw that there was a second stat that grabbed my attention and I wanted to talk about it is that another stage is between year 1 and year 2. And I think I know the reason why. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how marriage is for strippers. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Walk It Out. It's another episode with your boy. I'm excited. And pray for me as I say this message because I think it's so good. So, I've always had a burden and a conviction to speak about relationships, to speak about dating, to speak about marriage. One of my goals, top two, um, is to be a great husband. So I'm very passionate about marriage, and I'm very passionate about being the best husband possible. I mean, I even wear like a white ring. The reason why I wear this white ring is because I want it to be like an alarm. Maybe I should make a pink one. I want it to be like, yo, he's taken, he's off the market, don't even try. And then also he's taken, he's off the market, hold him accountable, watch him closely. Okay. Um, and that's because marriage is a goal for me. Like I want to have a successful marriage, and that's a goal for Nads as well. And both of our parents are divorced, so we know what that other side is like, and it's not something that we even talk about or consider. But we want to have a beautiful marriage. Like we want to live according to God's standard and see like everything that God has planned for us in this marriage thing, and we want to live out the beautiful imagery and the beautiful picture that God has God had when He created marriage. So I was looking at this and I was like, yeah, year 5 to year 8. My pastor calls it the 7 year slump, where around 7 years, marriage takes a dip. I can't speak about that. I have no clue about that. I have no context about that. Somebody else can talk about it. But I can tell you about year 1 to 2 because I've been married for 2 years. And I think I can see and understand why so many people get divorced. You see, when people get married, they get married for somebody's ideals. Okay, they for somebody's ideals. They marry the ideal person. Okay, they marry the person that somebody wants to be in public. So this person may look good in public. He may have a great job. He may drive a nice car. He may seem like he's always clean and his hair's cut and he's this amazing person. And she may seem like she's independent and she doesn't need money and she can cook and she can nurture and she can take care, and whatever you give her, she can cultivate it and make it great. And then you guys get married, right? And then the person who they are after the date is the person that you go home with. Let me say that better. So when you go on a date and when you're getting to know somebody and you're about to get engaged and all those kinds of things, right? You have separate lives. Then you get together to spend time together and then you separate again. But when you get married, you go on date nights and then you go home together. So the person that you are here and the person that you are here has to be the same person. And in the first 2 years, I believe a lot of people struggle with bringing that together. Because in those first 2 years, people need to learn how to strip. If you just got married, the first thing that you need to learn in marriage is how to strip. Now, I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about putting a pole in your house, unless that's what you guys do. You marry, you can do whatever you want, enjoy it. But I'm talking about how you need to take off this mask and this facade that you have and let somebody know the real you. See, I believe the most important part of dating, and I did a podcast on this, on a podcast called the Dungeon Podcast. Please check it out. And I was speaking about how when you're dating, you're trying to figure out who you can be vulnerable with and who you can be exposed in front of. So somebody who you can literally come to them and tell them about anything and everything, and also somebody who can, if you're exposed in front of them, they don't take advantage of you. So the dating process, that's who you're trying to figure out. Like that's who you're trying to see. Um, let me say that better. That's who you're trying to discover. because certain people have grace for you. Not everybody has grace for you. That's why some dates are horrible and some dates are amazing, because some people have more tolerance for you than others, and some people can really deal with the lowest and the worst parts of you than others. So in the dating process, you're trying to figure out which person is crazy enough to deal with my crazy. And I'm also trying to figure out whose crazy can I deal with for the rest of my life. That's the dating process. But when you get married, you're dealing with each other's crazy day in, day out. And in the first couple of months and in the first couple of years, all that you're doing is you're taking off all these things that you've pretended to be in the dating process. And the more you spend time with each other, the more the true you comes out. See, after the date, you go home. After the date, you're tired. After the date, maybe you're the type of person that outside you look neat and clean, but when you get home, you like kick off your shoes. Bah, bah. You take off your shirt and you just throw it. You go to the kitchen, you drink something, you leave the glass on the counter. Maybe you're that type of person. Maybe another person, when you get home from a date, you're tired, so you don't want to do anything. You just walk in, go straight to bed with your clothes on and everything. You just go, bah, you fall asleep and you're on the bed. So the other person gets to see all of these things, and they have to make a decision on the inside is, how am I going to deal with this? And some people seek the face of God. Some people seek counseling and they figure out how to deal with it. And other people are like, no ways, I don't have time for this. This is not my thing. And they get out. So today I want to try and help somebody who just got married. Like I said, don't ask me about how to stay married for 10 years. I have no clue. You can ask the people who've been married for 10 years. But how to survive the first 2 years, your boy, I can tell you, because we have been through our fair share of drama and our fair share of nonsense. And primarily my fault. I'm the guy, because I wanted her to get married to Superman and to stay married to Superman, but Superman is for the world. Clark Kent is at home. Okay, so those first 2 years, the sooner you guys start talking about things, the better. After the honeymoon stage, oh, we just got married. Oh my God, so wonderful. Oh my goodness, which couches are we putting in the house? Oh wow, man, so amazing. Cool. Let's go on a date night. Hey, let's just go on a holiday. Once all of that's done, y'all need to really start taking off all these things. Start talking about the things that you fear. Start talking about your insecurity. I'm hoping that you're talking about this stuff before you get married. But talk about this stuff openly and honestly all the time, because now you need to stop making this person think that you're dealing with the stuff yourself. And because you've invited them into your life and because you made a covenant with them, they are now a person that can come in and help you conquer your fears, help you manage your shortfalls and manage all the things about you that aren't great. Because we all have things that aren't great about us. We all have things that are inconsistent with the plan and the purpose that God has for us. But when you get married, you get a helper. When you get married, you get somebody who's going to walk along beside you and help you be the best version of yourself. But for them to help you be the best version of yourself, they have to know your weaknesses. They have to know your kryptonite, and they have to know all these other things about you that a lot of people may not know. So year one, year two, you're talking real. You go from talking about, yeah, I have this dream and I have this vision and I'm going to be the best lawyer. I'm going to be the best accountant and I want to have a company like this and I want to do this in ministry, blah, 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 to saying, but I'm also scared that it will never happen. You start to have real conversations. I have this vision of being the world's best lawyer, but I'm also still upset about the way I grew up. I have a vision of being an accountant and having 7 cars, but I was sexually abused when I was 2. And the reason why I don't want you to touch me is because it brings back that trauma. Let's be real. Let's talk about real things, because these are things that are happening in people's homes. I love you and I'm attracted to you, but I'm scared of having sex because I've never had sex in my life. Let's talk about real stuff. I love you, but I hate the fact that your standard for sex is pornography and I'm not a porn star. I don't look like one. I don't act like one. I'm not as flexible as one. I don't speak like one. Hey, welcome to Walk It Out 2.0. We're going to be real. Stripping. You must strip, Charlie. there are things about you that the average person doesn't know. There are things about you that your family doesn't know. There are things about you that your close friend doesn't know. But I can guarantee you, the longer you get married, your spouse is going to find out. And I can almost guarantee you that the reason why you're so anxious in your marriage is because there's things that you're keeping from your partner. And God is trying to press you and press you and press you until you tell them. Because until you two are perfectly aligned, you can't cover each other. Because you can be telling them to pray about this thing when this is really the thing that you need help with. You could be talking about this and blah, 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 but the root cause is this thing here. I want to encourage you to strip. It takes courage to strip because you have to be vulnerable and you have to be exposed. But the more you take off and the more they see of you and the sooner they see it, the better your marriage will be. You can start off on a good foundation and build from there. Now, I don't know what situation you have right now. Maybe if you not married yet and you're engaged, I don't know what your situation is. Maybe if you're dating, this is already helping you. But start to strip, even if you start with your shoes. Maybe you don't want to take off your shirt, but the sooner you start to strip, the better. And the more you do it, the more confidence it builds because the other person is receiving it well. We hope the other person is receiving it well. Let's talk about receiving it well. If you're the type of person who interrupts somebody while they're speaking, especially if they're in a vulnerable moment, stop. Please stop. For the sake of your marriage, for the sake of that person, if you truly love them, give them a chance to speak and to finish speaking. I know you, the type of person that always wants to come up with solutions, but half of the work is just listening. They may say something that is crazy in your view. They may say something that for you is like, it makes your mind race. It breaks your heart, but let them speak and let them finish. Tell them and recognize the fact that you have heard them before you say anything. Most of the time, when you speak and when you say something and the other person interrupts you or the other person overreacts, you know what you've done? You've taught me what not to tell you. So you've by doing that, you've taught me that there are certain things that I can't tell you. And then this causes problems in marriage because now they start to go and tell their sibling, their mother, the person at work, and that person at work is always listening. Now the problem there is obviously we don't want to phase, we don't want all of these things to happen. But if you can just listen and finish listening before you speak, that creates a safer environment. If somebody doesn't feel safe, they don't want to be vulnerable, they don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be naked in front of you because what are you going to say or what are you going to do once they become that exposed, that naked, once they become in that exposed and in that naked state. So please get better. I don't know who you are. Please get better at listening. Let them speak and let them finish. Even if you don't agree, even if you don't understand, even if what they're saying is making you scared and nervous and uncomfortable, let them speak. Once they're done speaking, acknowledge what they've said to you. And please really pay attention to what they're saying. Listen in such a way that you can speak back to them and tell them what they said to you. Even if you've interpreted it and you're not exactly saying exactly what they were saying, tell them, recognize what they've said and tell them back what they've said to you. It's so important. Listen, if you're not a safe place to talk to, you're putting your marriage at risk. Two, when somebody starts to take off their sock and then the other sock and then they take off maybe a wristband or whatever, they look at your reaction and then they learn to trust. And then they can start taking off the big stuff. And for some of us, when they start taking off the big stuff, that's when the real work in marriage starts, because you become the minister to them. You become the person who will help them work through this thing. God uses you as a vessel, not only for their greatest days, but for their worst days as well. If in their family somebody passes away and they mourn for 6 years, you are the person who's going to be right at the front helping them with that. If they've had an addiction and they're working through addiction, you're going to be the person who's helping them in the middle of that. One thing that I've realized is that if we get married for just the greatest parts of them, when these other parts come, we become scared, we become nervous, and then we pull away. Now you want to spend more time with your friends. Now you want to go do shopping. Now you want to do all these other things instead of facing the person that you're married. It's so cool that God says, I want you two guys to get into covenant. I want you to make a promise in front of me that you will commit to taking care of the other person through sickness, through health, whether you have lots of money or no money, whatever happens, you're going to commit to serving one another, to loving one another until the day that you die. Then, then after that, you go and you spend time together. Then you go and live life together. In the process of living life together, you're realizing who the other person is. It's a beautiful, scary thing. The first 2 years of marriage are beautiful and they're scary. But what I realized is that if you put in the work during the difficult days and if you put in the work during the good days, things go beautifully, things go smoothly. But if you're lazy, if you take shortcuts, if you give your work more attention than your spouse, if you give your friends more attention than your spouse, if you're doing things to avoid them because you don't want to have difficult conversations, marriage will be hard, marriage will be difficult, marriage will be tricky. And somebody asked me how marriage is. And I said to them, I love marriage. I think marriage is fantastic. There's nothing about marriage that I would take away. And he's surprised because he said most people don't respond that way. And the reason why he said that is because so many people don't like how marriage is. And the reason I believe that they don't is because they don't put in the work. They're not intentional about all the things that are difficult, all the things that are challenging. And because of that, they don't experience the beautiful part of marriage. So if you're a Christian and if you're a believer, when we get married, the male and the female represent Christ and the church. So when you two get married and you're spending time together and you're loving one another, it is a picture, it is a type and an image of how Jesus Christ loves the church. And the church is us, God's people. So when we're doing marriage right, we're representing that image. And when we're doing marriage wrong, we're misrepresenting that image. And what the enemy is trying to do is he's trying to get us to misrepresent this image, number one, so that people aren't eager to get married. And number two, so that people aren't eager to have a relationship with Christ. That's why if you get married, your biggest ministry is your marriage. That's why you have to work with your partner and you have to work on your partner to be the best image of Christ and the church. So important. And I'm praying that somebody's hearing what I'm saying, because you could have a great marriage if you become more intentional about it. You could have a great marriage if from today moving forward you would schedule time to go on dates. You would have a great marriage moving forward if you would stop interrupting them when they speak and just let them talk. Even if you don't agree, let them talk. You would have a better marriage if you would strip, if you would just start to take things off and to reveal who you really are. Deep down, who you really are. Excuse me. Sorry. I remember when Nads and I first got married. We got married a week later. We were in Nelspruit running a church. And in the middle of all of that chaos, we were trying to figure out who we are as a couple, what is our identity as a couple, how to get around this town that, okay, I haven't lived in, but that we haven't lived in as a couple, how to run this church, and how to live lives now that we're together. What does that mean for this friendship? What does it mean for this relationship with this person and that person, for friends and family? What are our priorities? What is our new normal? Not even forgetting that we're in the middle of the pandemic. It was hard. There were times where we were tested to the bone. There were times where I made Nadia so upset that she said she's out, she's leaving, she's packing her bags, and she's going. And if she had actually got to the point where she started packing her bags and felt like she was so sick of this, I would have packed my bags too and said, I'm sick of this too. Let's go. Wherever you're going, I'm going with you because I can't deal with this anymore. But there will be times where the stripping is difficult. But there will be times where the stripping is freeing. Because you always wonder sometimes is, if this person really knew the true me, if this person really knew all of me, would they still love me? And that vulnerability and that space where you're scared and you're nervous is what makes marriage so beautiful, because you're like, do they truly, truly, truly love me? And I'm nervous about it, but God, I have to tell them. Lord, give me the courage to tell them. And when you do have the courage to tell them, they receive you and they love you and they cover you in prayer. That is the beautiful part of marriage. But it takes both parts. You have to be comfortable with talking, but also you have to be good at listening. And as the problems come up and as the issues come up and as life continues to life, because life will life for all of us. There'll be good days and bad days. But when these bad days come, these challenging things come, family members pass away, financial struggles, maybe one of you loses a job or something like that, the conversations that are happening here help you become closer together as a couple. And the closer you get as a couple, the more fun you start to have with each other. And there are people who are married and they're together and they love each other, but they're not best friends. And I believe the reason why that happens is because they're not vulnerable in front of each other. I want to challenge you to make your partner your best friend, to the point where you don't need to lie to them, to the point where they know who you truly are, all of you, so that they can help you, so that they can protect you, so that they can help you deal with everything that you face in life. I'm a man. So let's talk some real stuff. I'm a man. And my eye gates are something that I have to protect, especially in today's time where women take off their clothes and they look for validation through getting compliments and there's social media and all those kinds of things. I have to protect my eyes. And one of the scariest things for me to do was to invite my partner into my sexuality outside of having sex. Because your sexuality also has to do with how you think, what you see. It's not just how you act. For me, to invite Nadia into that was one of the most challenging things, but now it's so easy. Even this morning, I told them, like, babe, I woke up and I picked up your phone instead of mine because I felt tempted to look at inappropriate things on social media. So one of the ways that I used to deal with pressure was through pornography, was through explicit content, was through girls shaking their bums on social media and all those kinds of things, because it takes my mind away from thinking about the reality. Some people would run to bottles, some people would run to drugs, some people would run to their friends, some people would run to their first cause. I'd run to content, to sexual content. And this morning I was like, I picked up your phone and I used your phone because I didn't trust myself with mine. And I pray and I'm saved and I read the Bible, but I'm still a person and I still have a flesh that I need to kill every day. And I have to invite Nadia into those places because she can help me. Many people think, and for some of you, it's very valid, that if you invite your spouse into it, they'll police you. But you need to both work towards creating an environment where you can be vulnerable with one another so that you can be protected. Being vulnerable in front of the person is not so that you can police them and watch over them, and every time they pick up their phone, you're like looking and seeing what they're looking at. No, it's about creating an environment where you can protect them. There was a time where, and I've shared this before, I don't know if I've shared it on any of my platforms, where if I feel triggered, if I feel weak, if I'm in a season of intense pressure, I tell Nadia that I'm in that season. And there was a time where I think we're getting ready to watch a movie or something. There was something on the TV. And I turned to do something, and she said, don't look at the TV now. And I had to listen to her and understand why she's telling me not to look at the TV. So I didn't look at the TV because there was something on the TV that would have triggered me and then opened that gate again for me to go and consume that content and find peace and find an escape in it. And she said, don't look at the TV. That's where you want your spouse to be. You want your spouse to be the person that protects you, that helps you move, in the direction that God has for you, that helps you move and live in the full purpose that God has for you. She wasn't doing that to police me. She wasn't waiting for me to look at the screen and go, you see, you're doing it again. I can't believe you. This is why it upsets me so much. No, she's protecting me. And that's where I'm praying and I'm hoping that you and your partner will be. If you're engaged, I'm praying that you'll get comfortable with having conversations like this and seeing if this person is the type of person that you can be vulnerable and exposed to. Because if you're engaged, you're not married. So they still are out. If you're married, you need to seek help and get people involved so that you can figure out how to be vulnerable and exposed in front of your partner without feeling like they're going to judge you and criticize you. If you're dating, ask some questions. Open up about yourself just a little bit, just to test and to see how they respond. Have conversations about it and see if this person has the grace for you. Because if they don't have the grace for you, it means they can't tolerate, it means they can't deal, it means they can't um, absorb you into their life and help you be the best you. You need to move on from that person. Forget about how good looking they are. Forget about his biceps and his chest and his car. Forget about her bum. Forget about her boobs. Forget about how she dresses and all those kinds of things and some of the things that she's telling you that she's going to do in the bed. Forget about all of those things and focus. This is why I honestly believe, besides the fact that you get into covenant, why you shouldn't have sex before you get married. Because sex causes you to be blinded to the realities of who you're in a relationship with. When you're having sex, it feels so good that you forget. I should be asking some proper questions here so I can figure out that when we get married and we start to go through real life things, this person will be with me. But if you don't, if sex covers that, you don't ask real questions. You don't see if this person truly has the grace for you. You're not spending time with your mother. You're not spending time with friends. You're not spending time talking about the future and seeing if you guys are actually moving in the direction. But my bro, and you know this already, my bro, you know that when she takes off her clothes, this brain switches off, this head switches off, and this head switches on. And you can't think. Ladies, the same thing. You know for sure. You know for sure, that you've seen signs that this guy's toxic. You've seen signs that he's abusive. You've seen signs, judging on the way he speaks and the way that he acts, that this guy is not good for you. But what sex will do is it'll cover that. And I'm praying that you'll stop having sex so that you can see this person for who they truly are. I'm excited about your future. I want you to get married. I want you to be happy in your marriage, but focus and pay attention to what is happening. And the only way you can do that is if you stop having sex. Horizontal dates need to die. It's to be keeping it vertical, dating in private and going to places where you guys will be alone in private settings and where other people can't hold you accountable. That needs to stop. Because if you keep dating like that, you'll never truly meet this person. And I don't want you to get married and then have to deal with things unnecessarily when this person doesn't have the grace for you. Lock it up. Close it up. Stop putting yourself in situations where you're feeling extreme amount of heat, where you're feeling like you want to have sex right now, because that's stopping you from getting into the relationship that you're supposed to be in. Now, you may say, how do I do that? Very simple, and I have to wrap it up. Stop putting yourself in situations where you're going to be stimulated. There's certain movies that you guys can't watch. Facts. There's certain music that you guys can't listen to. Facts. There's certain things that you guys can't do. Stop touching each other. Like, stop holding her bum, because not that's going to do, it's going to give you an erection. If it gives you an erection, what you're going to do, you're going to want to have sex. Girls, stop allowing him to touch, because once you say yes, it's finished. We know that more times than not, women have more self-control than men. So for y'all to get better, you have to do it together. We've run out of time. My camera always stops at 30 minutes. So I've run out of time. But we'll talk about it as we go. We're on a journey, guys. This isn't like an instant thing. This isn't like a short-term thing. We're going, and as time continues to go on, we'll see exactly how God wants you to do this. But I'm here, and if you have any questions, please send them to me. Write something in the comments below. If there's something that you would like me to go deeper into, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about it, because I'm not afraid to have those difficult conversations. And there are some practical other ways that you can abstain from having sex, and I'll talk about being single and all those kinds of things. But for now, if you are married, strip. If you're not married, don't strip physically, you know what I'm saying? But just test them by opening up about your life, not opening up your shirt. Young tall, let's not. Anyway, love you guys. I hope this added value to you. If it did, please hit the like button below. It really helps me get this to more people. Leave your comment. Let me know what are some of the things that you faced and how you've dealt with them. Also, if God lays it on your heart to give us a donation, you're more than welcome to do that. The details are below. I want to make this as sustainable as possible. This is my full-time job now, and I need your help to make sure that I always do it. I'm excited about it. We want to get more gear. We want to fix the lights, because now I'm using the sun. So every time the sun goes and comes back and goes and comes back, you'll see like the light gets up dark. And I want to control that. We want to have a studio. We want to do all of those things. But this is episode number 2. We're done. Love you. I'm praying that God will help you in your marriage. As you're engaged, I pray God will help you. If you're single, I'm praying God will give you the strength. And we'll continue to talk about this. But that's it for today. Hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you.